I won't forget later. My first class, I remember to start the recording when half of the class had gone. So now I do it as soon as I can. So let me see if I get to.
I'm going to click on grid video and see what that does.
Do you see now everyone, or do you see only the?
On grid, if I clicked on grid video, let me see.
On the.
I see gallery video, and Carolyn is the only one that's not on video.
Yeah, yeah. Probably maybe.
Voary's coming in.
Yeah, there's Voary. Hi,
Morning,
Voary.
Voary.
Hi.
Hey, Voary, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon. I thought that I lost the link, but I searched on my sending box, so it was actually in my sending box. So I finally happy I found the link.
Good.
So I disregard the email that I sent you, Martha, because I asked you to resend me the link, but now it is work.
I didn't see the email, you know, I just got up and I have not even had my coffee. So I have my coffee here. It actually is tea with milk. So while we speak, you know, I'm going to have some coffee if you don't mind.
Oh, it's okay.
So how has your week been?
Last week was very busy.
Very busy?
Yeah, I was very busy. I mean, so actually the week after my surgery, like during the week I have my surgery, I was assigned the offer letter from the University of Houston.
Oh.
So that was also like, you know, happy moment, like a little roller coaster, because I was in the hospital at the same time, but it was fine. And I have a lot of work in the lab. So I was trying to get a lot of samples done, because when the mass spectrometer is working, then you have to make sure to keep it working and maintaining the flow. And
yeah. So when are we going to see you in the United States?
If things will go smooth, then January. So I will move there in January. I don't know about the COVID yet, but my best plan is to come December, so that, you know, I have some time to settle and look for places. But it all depends, because you saw the announcement by the president that all of the things is ineffective until December the 31st. So it's kind of a little depend on that too. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't are you seeing the names of the ladies in the meeting, at the meeting?
I see. So what I see now, I see you, I see Diane, I see Barbara. Did I say this correct?
Yes, perfect.
I see Kayla, did I say it correct? I see Mary. I see Harry.
I think that Harry may be actually Carolyn Howell. And my guess is that she may not have a camera in her computer. So I suppose that she's able to hear what we are saying, but I don't know, because she hasn't spoken. She is her first time doing Zoom, so we don't know what that will be. If that is that she cannot speak or she's not there, we don't know. We will learn later by phone probably, or email.
Okay.
So do you ladies have any question for, we have a few more ladies that said that they were going to come, but apparently they haven't joined the meeting yet.
I think we need to go ahead and Jane was going to join us, and then she had something that was detaining her. So Rebecca just joined in.
Yes.
And that's good. Rebecca is our collegiate candidate, and she's working on her doctorate. And so I'm glad that she's able to join us this morning. Jane wanted to make sure that her question was asked, even though that, she might not be able to join us in time. Did you send her question to Voary?
I sent her, yes, James.
Okay, let me repeat it and then you can answer. Jane's question would be about how we can use our meager resources to help with middle school tuition for a student or students. My understanding is that although elementary school is free, higher education is not. And even then, funding for education in Madagascar is erratic. The fact that Madagascar is extremely poor eliminates the majority of children continuing past very basic education. While our contribution would be small, what could help in some minor way, but an essential way? So really asking how the chapter could help.
Yes. So I see that that email because Martha forwarded the questions to me recently this week, and I know that that question is part of a project that I think we can elaborate together, like how we are going to tackle it. And I shared it with the member of the Geological Society that I'm in close contact, and I asked them what should we do, what can be the best option, because I said that the chapter that the DKG chapter is willing to help in some ways, but we have to make sure that the funds is going towards where it needs to be funded, and it needs to be clear how it is handled. And so if I understand well the question, that the funding would be like to support the students in middle school or in high school, because like when
Middle school is what?
okay, because when she said higher education is rather expensive, so I was a little confused. Yes. Higher education like is already in a college and university, which is different, but if in high
Right.
school it is also different. So what I have recently discussed with the people in Madagascar, for now it's exam time, you know, the round exam time. So last week they have the exam with the last fifth year for the elementary, and then next month they have the last year for the middle school, and then another month for the high school, which means that this month and the coming month is a little busy for the lower education in Madagascar. But still, I sent an email, and they sent some of the comments. I still have not received some responses from the authority person that I contacted, and I suspect that they are still busy with the exams. But what I have gathered from the discussion with the member of the group is that it's better to have like a little foundation, like home, so that the money does not go directly to the students or to the teacher, because we cannot really follow up. But what they suggest is that we have a little like a foundation. So with that foundation, we can buy school supplies, we can buy something, and then we select the students, they can make some applications. So it is like some sort of scholarship. So the students have their like a little booklet as an indication that they are part of the as a supported student. And so the school where the student attends know that the student receives those kind of support. But then in order to make it really transparent, like it's better to have some like an association that just manage the money, so that it goes to the school, the student. But then there is also the school, the job of the school or the teacher is to make sure the progress of the student. So I don't know if that idea works best, or if you also have some suggestions, because I think the idea that you propose can be developed so well, and it is better to write some, like make a draft that we agree, like you as a chapter agrees that is okay to make this kind of you know, the funding, and then we with the help with the group in the association, then we can write some sort of like a proposal together, so that it's like a memorandum of and then it ends up as a memorandum of understanding, and then there should be some report to the DKG, and then there should be some report to the school as well. So I think if that's a good idea, then we can. I'm willing, and I'm fine working together to write that proposal, and then it is clear if it is written, and everybody
What's
can.
the cost per year for a student?
Uh,
Do you have any idea?
that is very difficult for me. I sent a request to the people that I know. I have not received a response, but I think like for the tuition, I would aim like per student between $250 or $500 per year. I mean, that is just my guess.
Right, I know that's
I
ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on where they go to school, how far they live from the school, and if it is a public or versus private school.
Mhm.
So if it is a private school, it's relatively pricey. If it's a public school, then the cost might be less. And also, so that is for the students, but I don't. Yes, Martha, sorry.
Well, I think it would take some getting together and formulating a plan or anything.
I think that's the best idea.
Um,
Thank you.
I had a question regarding the difference that you may estimate in tuition or expenses for a student that goes to a private school or a student that goes to a school that is run by the state or the government, a public school. Do people or students that go to private schools, do they have like may they be students that are needy, but because of their dedication and their performance, they are given a scholarship for the school, and then we can add to that? Or is that people that have more resources can afford to send their kids to a private school? So where the point is, not in here in Athens, we mostly try to support the public schools, but would that difference between public and private perhaps having more resources, be our selection of what student we're going to support, have a significance or not in how effective our help may be?
In my view and in my experience growing up and studying in the public school, like the majority of the time, the private are more for the richer family. So the family, of course, because no family with a very limited income can, you know, afford to pay their kids to go to those private school. So I think for this project, I mean, we can try with just 1 or 2 students so that, you know, we see how things are going. And if we make sure also to see the students really like growing from when she or he start. So to answer a question about the price, I mean, I think for the private school, it's like maybe double or triple the price that a public school student have to pay, because what makes it expensive is the tuition, the fees that they have to pay on a monthly basis. And if you cannot pay it, then you just are out of school.
Yeah.
How often do you go back to Madagascar that, you know, if we needed someone on the ground to follow up, how many times during the year, or is it every other year? When do you go back to Madagascar?
Uh, I try to go now frequently. Last year I came there 3 times. This year I was planning to go, but because of COVID I can't. Anytime I can go this year, I will. And I'm planning to go there in May. I mean, if there is no plan, because I will move now to the US in January, so which means that then I will be busy just being started. And so my plan would be the summer for next year if I don't have any chance for this year to go. And so so the sooner is, like, considering COVID cases, then maybe summer next 2021.
Summer of the Northern Hemisphere or Southern Hemisphere?
Northern Hemisphere, May, June. Oh yeah, good question. You see, that is a very good question. Now I'm thinking more of a Northern Hemisphere in terms of season.
Okay.
Where are you now? I missed it.
I am in Belgium.
Belgium.
Yes.
We got Jane.
Yay.
We got Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hey, Marta. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
We just asked your question, so rather than have her go back through it, you can check on the recording. It's the first question.
Okay.
What are you, you've traveled around, you were in the US, you were back to Madagascar, you're in Belgium, you're now in the US. Are you ever going to go back to Belgium to live and permanently stay there?
Got the charger for my computer.
Well,
So,
somebody's spot for school.
guess what?
I'm lost. Who was speaking?
Well, I asked her a question and then Rebecca said something.
Oh, okay.
I asked about your being in the US and then, Belgium and then back to the US, and wondered if you were going to ever settle in Madagascar again, or are you going to be continuing to travel as you teach, or what are your plans?
My plans, I am planning to settle. But as I will be having a job in the US, maybe in the US, but research-wise, I still think to travel to do the research as a researcher. But I don't know, maybe for Belgium and other places as a visitor when do the exchange as a researcher, but maybe I will first teach and be in the US and then go back and forth to Madagascar to continue.
So you permanently settle here and then do your traveling from the US?
Yes, that's I think for now is the best option. Yes.
All right. Any other, Rebecca, did you have a question for her?
No, my teenager was interrupting this video, so I had to make him get quiet there. So no, her research sounds unbelievable. Honestly, it puts my research to shame. So I'm very interested in learning more about her research. She seems very interesting.
So what are your, I know that your dissertation was on climate change and what you could tell from caves. So what are you doing now exactly?
So I'm still doing research on geological archives. So I studied two main geological archives now, speleothems, which are the stalagmites, rocks that you find in caves. And I also study lake sediments that are materials deposited at the bottom of the lakes to reconstruct the climate change in the past and environmental changes in the past. So I look at variation in geochemistry, mineralogy, petrography, the properties of each of those materials to tell some changes of climate in the past in those places.
Okay.
Voary, I have a question. Is you mentioned the money going to, if we were able to give money to help a student, support a student, going to a foundation, which I think is a wonderful idea. Is there already a foundation in place that we would be able to donate to?
So that's a good question. So I don't know if you agree, but the association that I am now the president of, so it depends, and it depends on the association, the DKG, if you agree. But what my first idea is that it is possible to put the money like as a dedicated money from in the association. There are some students that can help to supervise how the money is spent, and then they will be the bridge to connect with the school.
Perfect.
And then we will make an announcement to the school. So we the same as what we did with the outreach, actually. So we have to go to the ministry, we have to go to the local competent authority, and they have to understand what we are going to do with the outreach activity. So they they sign the agreement, and then when they sign the agreement, then we can start the work. So what we can do is that we can make it clear that there is this amount of money from the foundation, and then we go to the school where we want to help. We expose the idea to the director of the school that we want to do this and we want to help a student. So depending on the money that we have in the foundation, that we can decide, we can support 1, 2, 3 students. And once they understand that there is going to be that collaboration, we cannot yet start because we have to go to the local authorities that there is going to be this kind of activities that is going to support the students at that school. So we have to, from the agreement from the director of the school, we have to go to the local competent authority, and they have to write, and we have to get some approval from the local ministry. And once that is approved, then it go back to us as the association. Then you will send, or you will also receive a copy of the paper that they send. And then we make an announcement to the school afterwards. It's make an announcement that we are going to give support, like a scholarship to students. So whoever are interested, I think they can apply. And then there will be a selection of the students with, let's say, a recommendation from the teacher, which makes it better because, you know, then when the students and needs that have that recommendation, then it's another support that the students really needs, some sort of support. And then when the student is selected, I think then we can write a memorandum of understanding between the association, the foundation that help to share distribute the support, and the school and the students. If the student is underage, then it needs the parent to sign for it, because I think the student alone cannot handle the money. Or if, as I said, if it is best not to give the money directly, but really give the school supplies. Like they need some books, they need some notebooks, they need some pens, they need some pencils, they need some backpacks, they need some. So I think that is much, much better than just to give the money, because it's much easier to follow and make sure that the money is used in the right way.
Yes.
Instead of sending money, if you go back, that's one of my questions, you know, was the frequency with your travel back to Madagascar. Would it be better that you either take supplies or you take money and get whatever is needed? Would that be a better way of doing it rather than just sending money off to a foundation?
That is, I think that is also the best idea. And because if we buy the supply, that means that the money that was spent buying the supply, there is a clear receipt. in terms of like what have been spent, and then the school supply will be distributed to the students, and they can sign that I received this and this and this materials.
Right.
So I think that is either that is better.
Is there any problem in taking things, if you would, we would get you, you know, X number of backpacks filled with things, that getting it back into Madagascar? Is there any, I know we've worked with getting things into Nigeria, and sometimes that's hard to do, even with physical things. Is there that kind of problem with getting things back into Madagascar?
I think the biggest problem is that when you have a higher number of things, the same thing, then at the custom service, they would think that you're going to sell it. I have, last year, actually, I was bringing some research supply to go to the field, like bottles, and they have hundreds and hundreds of them. And they said, oh no, you have to pay for the fees, because they suspect that it's something for sale, not something
Right.
for foundation. And even though you have all of the proofs, sometimes it's hard for them to believe it. And that, I think, is the challenge. So if you send something, I would rather like buy it in the city, because it's, if you buy it in the city, I think the cost for the shipping, the cost for the import might be decreased than just like sending
Right.
all of the things, and then when you arrive at the airport, either you get the materials that you send,
Right.
or you have to still pay a fortune, which is something that we don't want to happen.
That's right. And, or sometimes things just disappear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I believe that it not only the problem of that whatever you are taking may not get there, but usually when you travel, having traveled, and maybe if you're going to Madagascar, you're going to see your family, your uncle, your niece, everyone, hey, bring me this, bring me that. So the weight that you can carry is limited. You need to carry your own stuff, and then carrying all the other baggage may be perhaps too much. And if you exceed the allowed amount, you have to pay a fortune. And I would say that in my point of view, although if you have lots of room because you travel very frequently and you don't need to carry all the baggage that you carry to your family and friends, if you have room, that's okay, as long as nothing is repeating too much, so that the custom people may think that you are trying to sell that stuff. But otherwise, buying in the town may be an easier way to avoid the problems. I don't know. Or as Diane said, giving the funds to whoever is traveling, so that person can buy in the town in Madagascar and make it available. Other question that I have, when you mentioned all the steps necessary to get the foundation and the going to the ministry and getting the school to agree and the parent to agree and everyone to agree. Is that a very complicated process, or it's something that takes months and months, or it's something that can be done swiftly, I would say?
Well, so in Madagascar, I think that is the challenge for doing research, and like most of the paperwork, it takes a little time. But for such kind of things, maybe it can be done in 1 or 2 weeks maximum. It does not take very much. Research paperwork can take longer, but something like that, no, not very much.
What's the conversion rate? US dollar to whatever it is in Madagascar?
That's also I wanted to say, because now I think the currency just dropped. So I think it is around 3,000 Ariari. That's the currency, 3,000 or more. It depends, but I think when there is a currency from the US that goes to Madagascar, we have to keep the paperwork for the exchange as well. So that you know that if you donated, for example, 500, and if we are using that money, then the conversion, we go to the bank will give the paperwork that this is the exchange rate, so that I think there is a clear exchange also, that the amount that we used for this amount that has been donated has is the equivalent of this, and based on the local currency, that if we purchase the things in Madagascar, then you can clearly see now the converted currency, and then the expenses that has been made, that how the money has been used, because it changes, the currency fluctuates a bit. Yeah.
I have a question. The way to send money, if you are not here, if you can send it through a bank. If you send it through a bank, I know that there is a fee here. It used to be like 15 years ago, I haven't wired money in that long time, about $40 for me to send it. And then the person who receives it had to pay a fee as well. What I am doing, sending money to Argentina, I use Western Union, and the fee that I am paying, I think that this is up to is $8. And they give me an exchange rate. In Argentina, there is an official exchange rate, and there is a black market exchange rate that is higher. For a reason that I cannot understand, they give me the black market amount, and I know when I put the money here how much they are going to receive. And they gave them a receipt, they give me a receipt with exchange rate. Does that exist in Madagascar, something like Western Union?
There is a Western Union. When I was in the US, I used to send money to my family using Western Union, but the fees for the transfer, like just to send it, and the exchange rate is killing. It's so high. So what I did is that I instead of that, I save some money, and then I bring cash to my parents. And then when I have it there, then they can go to the bank. So at least that the cost for the transfer, the cost for the very high rate is avoided. So that is what I did. And I have also some friends in the US. So last time with one association, with the female association that I was with, we were raising money to help some students for research. And then we raised some money, and then instead of sending it to Western Union, we begged the friends that travel from US to Madagascar to bring the money. Yeah, so we wire transfer the money from bank to bank in the US to the person, and the person cashed it and then bring it to Madagascar. So at least we can save some money for that. Yeah.
So, so Western Union charges the person who receives the money. Do they charge a fee to the one who to send?
No, because I can choose to do that when I send, but because I know the person who receive will not have the opportunity to still repay from the money that I gave them. So I think you can choose in Western Union if you send the money so that you can pay for both fees. So then when they receive it, they just receive the converted amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's different than what it is for Argentina. For Argentina, the person who receives doesn't pay anything.
Yeah.
So maybe
for us too, they don't pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Delta Kappa Gamma can do with your geological society in Madagascar? Transferring just from, students to, of the middle school age to the college age.
Diane, are you asking if instead of helping a middle school student, we could help
With the society? I'm just looking at different options.
yes, could help a high school student or
Well, or what in her geological society, is there a need? Is there something that our chapter could help with?
Well, so I mean, anything like for high school or for the society, I think they both need help. And I the idea with the helping the high school is already a great thing that we can do. With the society, I can go back again to ask the members, because I was preparing for the part that you're going to help for the middle school students. So that is what I was asking them,
Right.
very much, that what we should do. But we now have for the society, next year we are planning to also have a geological excursion to help students to get more hands-on experiments in practices in geoscience in the field. So we plan to do that for 1 week at one location. So we are still in the process of organizing, deciding the place where we want to visit, and discussing with some company, because there are some company that can receive us like as a visitor and take us for a tour in some places. So that is still like a plan for next year. We might be doing some fundraising, because we don't have, geological compass or geological hammer, just to help to make the students like have a feel of what a geological field school would look like. And so we might be like fundraising doing some fundraising for that, but not soon, but maybe sometime next year when the activity is closer. So I mean, those are, I think, what I can think for right now, but for specifics it's better to I need to ask for the members, because maybe they also have something that they really have in their heart and their mind.
Well, I didn't mean to throw you off track, because there's a lot of different ways that education in a variety of ages and areas can benefit from help. And so that's why I thought, let's just take a look at different areas that you are involved in, and see what the society can do, the chapter can do.
Yeah,
Thank you.
mean, yeah, thank you so much. Also, that's very thoughtful. So as I said, I can ask the member, but those are the points that come to my mind right now. And if you think that is worth the support, then we appreciate it. And I will communicate those to the members as well.
I do not know, because I do not know how much funds we're going to be able to raise. And another decision that we need to make whenever we embark in something is, if suppose we have a sum, whatever sum that is, can we help just one student? Would it be better to help just one student, or perhaps split and help a little bit, maybe more? So that is another question that I think you may think, what would be the most effective way to help? Because we are not rich, and the resources that we gather, of course, we want to put them to the best use, how they can be more effectively used. and less cumbersome, not to have to go through many gates to be able to achieve our goal. My position, and I suppose that everyone in our chapter will have their own, would be that if there is a way in which we can help more directly and transparently to your society or to a particular student, that should be the way that we would prefer, or I would prefer to go, without having to get approval from so many rungs, because that will take time and we may get stuck and somebody says, well, no, this is not a project that, you know.
That's why I ask how often she goes back, because I think if we work through her and can have a person on the ground that's going to actually help with the administration and cut out all the paperwork.
Now, could I ask?
Well, so to answer that, actually, when we did the outreach activity, I was not in Madagascar at all for the administrative, because the vice president and the board members of the Geological Society, they did all of the work in getting all of the paperwork. So to make this, what I just did is send a procuration home to give them the access that they can do it on my behalf. So I think getting the paperwork with this regard should not be an issue. It is not a paperwork to get gold from Madagascar. It is not a paperwork to get, like valuable resources or something that needs like the ethics approval and so forth. It is only to get approval that we are going, like, to let the authority know that we are doing something to the student. And to answer the question of Martha about like what is the best idea to support one student or like a group of students, it's so, as you said, it mainly depends on the money that we have. And I mean, to encourage all the students to do better, sometimes in my view, it's better to like select the students so that everybody's kind of eager to do better. So it makes like a competitiveness and increase the motivation of the students. But on the other hand, there are some students that will say, I will never have the chance to get this. So my thinking on that is that if we have a fund that maybe can buy a book, like a studying book to the students, and then they can use it in the school. Like if the school has a requirement for a book for reading, then maybe we purchase a pack of those books, and then all of the students do not have to buy it, but they will have it at the beginning of the school year. So I think that is much better. So.
When will excuse me, when will a new year begin?
Oh, pardon me?
When will the next school year begin?
That is, I don't know the exact date, because now it is the exam period, and the exam period has been delayed because of the COVID. So there will still be exams until, so this is September, it's October, until October. And then there should be a few breaks before the school begins. So the exact date, I don't know, but maybe November, December or so. Yeah.
Jane had a question, so I'm going to unmute you.
She's still muted.
There's a microphone.
Jane, I think, do you have a microphone, Jane? Your microphone is not working. We can't hear you.
On the left corner.
Me now?
Yes.
Okay. One question you may have answered before is, what is the tuition per student at, in general, at the middle school level and the high school level?
I don't know the exact, like how much they pay now for the tuition, but my estimate for one student for 1 year maybe is between $200 or $500, like within that range.
Right.
$500, yeah, but I don't think it's gonna be more than that.
Very good. And the other point I'd like to bring up, because Voary would be a member, that she at some point, you know, could write, maybe you've already discussed this, send an application to the international, if not for a scholarship, for a fellowship, or some way that she could get a grant and aid to help specifically with students or some other aspect that perhaps the international would be interested in. Is that
Wouldn't that be under the coronet? That
pardon?
wouldn't that, yeah, there's an educational foundation in DKG that will give you different grants, and you can ask for different amounts of money and for projects and things like that. So
That would be an option as well.
Uh,
We could look into that after, you know, a certain period of time and explore the possibilities that may be a help in addition to what we ourselves would do.
I believe that there are funds for women in education, for even for non-members, through a fellowship in our international society, not our chapter.
No, I know, international is what I'm talking about. Because they
Yeah.
have for the most-
Yeah, and we did have 2 years ago a student from Costa Rica who was not a member and who was doing her master's at UGA, and the DKG International didn't pay all her tuition, but I think they gave her $2,000 for doing, for, you know, to use while she was here. So that is also an option that may be applied to, if you have any of your colleagues in Madagascar that are still studying to finish their masters in some way that may increase the opportunity of them of getting their research done. Or I do not know how much the amount is, or how they wage how much they are going to give each year, because it depends. They have a capital and how much the capital produces each year. So that determines how many of these grants they offer, or fellowships every year. But that's something that we can explore as well.
Do you
Sure.
have the link for that? Because I think maybe some of the students can try, and it's also a practice for them to write research grant and to experience the international application for something.
Well, we need to see what the deadlines. I know that some deadlines come in January or February. Some deadlines are in November.
there's some in November, and you're right. So we'd have to look that up.
But
and if they do it in November,
the following year. I mean, you can still do it without actually submitting it until the time that it needs. So that would be a possibility instead of waiting, because it's hard to sometimes, you know, follow what the deadline would be. So it wouldn't hurt to look into it long before any kind of a deadline, either before or after, really.
yes, and usually when they do this, my impression is that the proposals that are granted that you submit in January are to be used starting in August. So it's not immediate.
Right.
So we need to check on the deadlines and
Yeah, well, Voary will be a member longer than just 1 year, so we don't have to do it this year. I'm just saying we could look into it and give her the information, see what students might be interested in. At any point, there are going to be people in need. So we don't have to match a deadline right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for bringing that up. I think your point is that we look at the details and the eligibility criteria, so we start to think about it, and if we can do it at the next deadline after, then we can give it a try.
Yeah. Any other questions, lady? No? Are we done?
I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Thank you, Voary, so much. It's always good to see you and talk with you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for always being an encouraging group of women. I think it's good to be with a group of women, you know, to
We
share.
look forward to seeing you in the US.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to say goodbye. Voary, as always, it's very nice to speak with you. Alberto is going to say hi, so.
Hey, Voary.
Hi, Alberto. Hi.
How are you doing? I'm glad to hear
How
that
are
you're
you?
doing well.
Pardon me?
And I'm glad to hear that you're doing really well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, ladies, bye-bye, and we'll see you sometime in the future. I do not know if in person or how, but we will be in touch. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stopping.